Whoa, I'm back on the Noob account. It's amazing. It's been like 6 months since I've actually played this account outside of Frostnite, maybe even longer if you want to take out Frostnite. There have been a ton of changes to power level, how it's calculated, and the fact that stats are no longer shared between teammates, so it's better for solo play, and I think it's a lot better for the early game. And there are a bunch of different changes, including no longer item sharing. You can't drop stuff to your teammates anymore. It's a lot. And I think a lot of these changes are good for the game. And ultimately, I'm going to share a theory as to why Epic is making these changes. So let me catch everybody up. There is no more a research section. You don't need to collect it anymore. You don't need to log in and grab this every 24 hours. You don't need to keep up with it. As you level up, your account level goes up and up and up, and you do your quests. Your gadgets will just unlock on their own. You can see it'll actually tell you which ones are going to go up with your next level. Kind of cool. It's fully automatic. And if you were working on one gadget before, now it might be locked until you have to progress further, which is not a big deal. Account level is just earned by getting XP. Running missions of any kind will progress that, and if you give your teammates your XP boosts, they can actually help you in the process. These are pretty much free, so you can just hand these out willy-nilly. I don't think you need to rely on teammates for that, but it can help, so that is definitely an aspect of it. And now, power level is calculated in 3 different ways. First off, it is survivor squads. Tried and true, same as always. I've been running this on stream today. Twitch link down below. I've unlocked several new squads. I think I've got them all now. And I'm filling out the different supports, and my power level has been going up and up. There is currently a bug that when you exit a mission, it does not update correctly. My power level should be like 49 or 50, but for whatever reason I'm 36 right now. It usually corrects once you go in game, so I'm not too worried about it. Then it takes your top 3 backpack weapons, which is kind of exploitable. So I did not do this to cheat, but someone just dropped me a high level Baron just for the movement speed. I have been using it exclusively for movement and not for damage, but you can see when it leaves my account, okay, my power level updated. I guess there's a way to fix that bug if you guys are getting it. I go from 50 down to 46. So I'm getting 4 power levels just by having this high level Baron on hand, which I understand might be artificially inflating my stats, but it's movement. I'm not going to not use it, but this means that when people were dropped free 130s and free 144s, you were now able to just cheese your power level if you don't even use those weapons. Kind of weird. Not a big deal. You'll eventually have your own weapons, but that is one of the major points I want to get into in this video later on, is that item dropping was really bad for the game. I'm going to save that until we hop in game. Then the last thing is your hero loadouts. These will contribute to your power level based on rating. So you can see Jingle Jess is a 74. If I sub her out for any other lower level Outlander, I will drop a ton of points. Another 4 power levels right there. So because I've been leveling up these heroes, 3-star should be beyond me, by the way, but as you progress in ventures, it allows you to unlock things that are higher than you should get. So I have some tier 3 things, just like I have my tier 3 vacuum tube bow. Okay, I was actually sorting this for the collection book because I really wanted Buckshot Raptor. He's out of reach right now, but I now have a Malachite vacuum tube bow that I cannot level up, which is just fantastic. And a part of the update on the Noob account is that I've been grinding it on stream, and I have gotten Plankerton Storm Shield Defense 2, so now I can actually change my perks. Pretty cool. This is an upgrade from Frostnite, and it will be nice in future Frostnite runs, I think. It's a little cheesy to be leveling up stuff early from ventures, and that's not great. And I am skipping some quest lines just for my Storm Shield, but that's the game we're in. I'm not trying to cheese the game in any way. I just am level 50. I've been leveling up heroes and weapons, and I've gone beyond what Plankerton is able to challenge me with. So I have a basic Teddy build that I've been running a lot, and I have been leveling up heroes where I can. So it does make a difference. Now, with all of this, you cannot share stats between teammates. You see, if I pull up this menu, there are no shared stats between us. However, Jack and I don't know who else pinged me this, but a high-level player who shall be nameless, I guess. I'm gonna go find them. Okay, this was DSL. Thank you very much. I know I worded that wrong, but my brain's not working today. So Jack at level 132 is 5,500 stats. To those who don't remember the old stats, if you were a level 144 person, max power level, you would have had about 3,200, somewhere in that range. That's basically where your max power level would be. And in a full squad, everybody boosting each other, it would have been about this, about 5,600. These are now your default stats. So the reason I'm using them is because that's more familiar as a max level player. This is just a newbie. I don't know what to say about this. These are just my stats, but this is what would have been a full squad of 4 people of me, which is really, really neat. So I'm going to show you in game how that really plays out and why I think it's good for the game. I think that just about explains everything outside of here. We're going to jump into my Storm Shield. Like I said, I've been ignoring my quests for now. I will definitely get back to that. I just wanted to open up more of Plankerton, but I think this will be a really, really good showcase of why I think this is a very good change. So before we actually start the defense, I want to elaborate on a point that I've been making, is that this is really, really good for new players. And I also want to share why I stopped making noob account videos. I tried. I really did. I was playing through the Stonewood missions, doing the quest, and trying to keep up with everything and all the different events, but it was just terrible. And this is something that my viewers have told me about before, and I want to share this video before we jump in game, but I recorded this 6 months ago because I figured I might bring this up at some point. And this is what Stonewood was like. This was not a weird example. This was not cherry picked. I did not record this to show you how absurd it was. This was every single game. I understand I'm a streamer and people are going to join my lobbies. I'm never going to get a purely original Stonewood lobby, but even with people that I did not recognize from chat, this is what it was. Storm King's Wrath, spammed traps, probably duplicated, broadside's not even functioning because it doesn't even matter. It was literally unplayable. Underneath this, I am just straight-faced and miserable. I mean, granted, this guy in the recording was like 3 months away from his breakup, but it didn't help my mood at all that this is just literally every game. I was trying to do this noob account, and I'm like, what's the point? What is the point, okay? For more than one reason, like, I'm gonna get through all of them in this video. Like, let me just start with the dupes traps, okay? When you have item sharing enabled, which has been disabled by Epic, you have this situation where people just have infinite traps, over-leveled stuff. You can get boosted to Storm King, which is still true, and it just is... It's just awful. It's just so boring. When somebody drops you a fully leveled weapon right out of the gate, there is no progression needed. That becomes the strongest thing you have. It one-shots all the enemies, and you've now trivialized the Save the World experience. You've now trivialized the Save the World experience. And it just... I had this rule where I didn't want to pick up any weapons that were dropped by my teammates, but that doesn't stop high-level players from being OP. And the reason I wanted to record this in a game on my noob account is not just to get a noob account episode out, but like, look at this. My weapons are actually having a little bit of a struggle to kill the enemies. That was another reason I couldn't really grind the noob account, is everybody who played with me had to have a similar level to me, or it completely ruined the experience. If Jack or Demon Gamer, and I believe, I don't know this user, Mystical, I think from the stream, I don't know, everybody has different names, but they're for the stream, they know who they are. These guys, if they were in the party, would have been ruining my experience. By maxing out my power level and capping out what Plankerton's allowed to give me, I would have been one-shotting everything, and it would have been completely trivial. Granted, as soon as they throw down their Teddy, if you want to demonstrate, Jack, right now, maybe, as soon as they throw down their Teddy, yeah, it just kills everything. I know that was the end of the wave, but you can still get help from teammates. You're never going to stop a high-level player from doing high-level damage, but the fact that I can actually have a somewhat legit experience with high-level players. Now, before you say, oh, you're just a big streamer with max-level people who are willing to help you every time, sure, but even when I first started playing this game, and I had less than 8,000 subs, I found it really difficult to play with my friends because I would be power level 20 or 30 and the boys would be 90 or 60, and just by being in my game, it would completely remove any sense of progression that I was having. And I think this is the major reason that item sharing has been completely disabled outside of event modes, and all of these changes to power level are happening, and stat sharing, where if you want to play solo, you have all of the stats you need to have a full squad's bonus. You're not going to have 3 other people throwing down Teddy with you like I've got here, but you'll still at least be able to play solo. And I think that might be Epic's tiny way of throwing in the towel, where like getting a group in this game outside of joining the Minerva Discord, link down below, is really difficult. If you're not sociable, or you play on fills, you don't want to use Discord, you can't use Discord, whatever. Having to use any third-party chat room, by the way, is crazy. Like, I'll plug Discord all day because I love Discord and I like it, but it's foreign to those who don't use it every day, right? So it's weird. And by allowing people to have some method of soloing games is great. And you can see that if I want to play with my high-level friends, if Jack's not throwing down his Teddy, I have a pretty legitimate Plankerton experience going on right now. Like, I actually am incentivized to level up my squads. I can play with all the max players that will join me, but I am still highly incentivized to maybe actually craft this Gravedigger instead of just having it sit in my inventory unused. I was just using the loot that I got from glowing animals, but this level 32 Ranger is not exactly cutting it on the higher level of Plankerton. Granted, of course, I am going a bit further in my Plankerton Storm Shield than my story would have me, but you get the idea. I think this is really, really good for the game. Now, there is some sort of random thing I want to add that's a little off topic of the early game that I want to mention, and they did make the late game twine a bit easier. I'm not sure what they were intending for that to mean. I don't know if they meant enemies would be easier overall, but the 164 players are not giving you 250 power level enemies anymore. It's just 160. It has trivialized the end game, and it's part of what actually pushed me onto my Noob account on the day that I'm recording, is because the 160s were so easy I was falling asleep in my chair, and I was like, all right, well, this game's meant to be a little bit better in the early game right now. Let me go check that out, and this is what I've been finding. So, to reiterate some of my points, you've got no stat sharing, so that you can have a somewhat legitimate experience. Oh yeah, so you can have a somewhat legitimate experience even with your high level friends. And yeah, okay, I'm a big streamer and I mentioned my friends early game, but it was true. Early on, you couldn't play with other people, and they can't drop you high level weapons anymore to trivialize that. And I think when people first start playing Save the World, that is a very common experience. I have heard about the Stonewood scam boxes. I have heard of people trapping you in, first game you've ever played, begging you for 130s, forcing you to trade. This is a thing that has been in the game for years. I have bugged every Epic community manager that I have ever spoken to, asking them why Stonewood players are able to use 130 weapons. It doesn't make sense to me. Because it was insane to me that if you could be dropped a 130 weapon, at the time was max level, you would have all progression stolen from you. You would be one-shotting every single enemy, killing everything immediately. You'd have no reason to level up your own weapons, and instead of, you know, leveling up your own weapons and doing the game, you would be begging people, trading, scamming your way to get another 130. And I even had testimonial from people in my chat today telling me that that was their experience. They loaded up the game, had a bunch of weapons dropped to them. They spent a bunch of time in Stonewood scamming and trading instead of actually playing, never even progressing the game, never even knowing that 130s aren't rare. You can just go and get more. Level up, play the game. These aren't valuable. And I think it's kind of like the Among Us situation. I was talking about this on stream today, and I like this example because skill-based matchmaking got added to Among Us, and people were pissed. They were really, really upset because that was really annoying. It meant you were always playing against people who are about as good as you. But the devs were like, no, we're not turning it off. We're not turning it off. We know this is annoying, but here's the deal. When people play the game for the first time, they are going to load up, get against good players. This is what they do. They had the data on the back end. They were like, yeah, we were seeing that people were installing the game, playing a few matches, losing, then uninstalling and never coming back. And they were like, this is unacceptable. I mean, yeah, Among Us is a big game. We got lots of players now, but new ones aren't sticking around. And I honestly believe that is the core of why I'm recording this video. I think that is what Epic has been seeing for 7 years, is, yeah, we've had a lively player base for all this time. Some people might disagree with that statement of mine, but I think the 20,000 plus concurrent players we've had most of the time, beating out Rocket Racing and Festival, like, Save the World is, for a paid game mode, a fairly active community. Whether or not you disagree, comment down below, but we have players. I'm a full-time content creator. I've been able to pay my bills. Like, we have people around here playing this game. And I think that's there because BR is so successful, but I think what Epic might be knowing, might be seeing on the back end, is that people are quitting the game. They get through Stonewood, or stop at Stonewood. They never play further. They never do more than that. And this is their way of addressing that. By not allowing people to drop items between each other anymore, you can't just cheat your way to the end game instantly. I think level caps would have been nice on the weapons. That would have been at least half of a fix, but I think what Epic knew is that traps were a thing as well. Even if you level cap the traps, you can still drop tons and tons and tons of materials that were unearned by the player, and they knew dupe glitches have been a thing forever. You patch one, two pop up. It's been a quietly known thing forever that this game has had dupe glitches basically 24/7. So, if after years of trying to fix dupe glitches and failing to do so, you throw in the towel and say, you know what? we're going to turn off item sharing altogether. Now, in my opinion, this has been a very nuclear change. I don't 100% agree with it. I think people of the same level should at least be able to share between each other. Maybe there's a range, I don't know. There are very legitimate reasons endgame players should be able to drop stuff. Then, of course, there are the Founders weapons. It would be really cool if Founders perks could be, like, put on normal weapons or something, and they weren't exclusive to paid users. But I can admit, if you want to squash duping as much as you can, limiting it to just the people who actually risk their accounts by duping anyway, because they will ban you if they catch you. Item sharing going off was a change that would do that. So ultimately, I think all of these changes have been fundamentally good for the early game. I think all of those players who log in, get scam boxed or dropped tons of stuff and get bored and quit, and you never hear from them because that's the quiet killer of a game. I feel like if Epic is seeing all these new players doing that, they're not going into YouTube comment sections. They're not making it into Discord. They're not exploring the community. They're just quitting and going back to BR, playing Slay the Spire or whatever else. Like, it's something that we wouldn't know about as the general player base, and it's my leading theory as to why all of these changes have been occurring, and frankly, I'm all for it. To reiterate some of my points for the last 3 minutes of this final wave, I like it. I like the fact that I can do my Plankerton Storm Shield with high-level friends, and they can just stand here and dance, and it's like not even ruining my experience. They could jump in and help if they'd like, if I need it, and it looks like I might need some help, you guys. You want to throw down a Teddy Jack?
Hey.
That's cool. And what was that? Do you want to add to my video? I am recording, by the way.
No, I was just
Yep.
saying you need help. I'll come over.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, because this was what was happening earlier. My Teddy was falling behind, and then the cavalry came in. So I think, if without making it too complicated, I think this is an elegant solution from Epic to allow you to solo if you really want to, allow you to have your own individual experience as a low-level player in a high-level squad, but your friends could totally help you if they wanted to, because it looks like the three of them are capped out at what Plankerton is allowing them to be at, and they're still doing tons of damage. Jack's Teddy is a heck of a lot stronger than mine, but they don't need to do anything if you're playing with a high-level friend. And again, I want to make this clear. I don't think that's a rare occurrence. I told my own story of playing early on. I think it's really normal that someone gets Save the World, they get really into it, they play it a lot, they become a high power level player, and they want their friends to come and join them. I think every video game ever with multiplayer has had that exact situation, and the fact that we can now play together and it's not ridiculous is pretty cool. You would need your friends to hold back a little bit if you wanted to have a semi-legitimate Plankerton experience with high-level players, but hey, this is the best I could think of other than like severely limiting high-level players altogether. And we were playing in Stonewood a little bit, just checking out the new map because they did retexture it in the same update, completely unrelated to everything else I've been talking about. And when I was in Stonewood, as, you know, a max-level player, full loadout, 144 pepper sprayer, it was not one-shotting everything. It was a surprisingly normal experience. I mean, I was still killing everything. It wasn't like I was being held back, but it was still cool that it wasn't a free win, but it was still, you know, showing the worth of my high level. So ultimately, I think these are good changes. It's a little confusing, I will admit. Everybody's power level on average going down 1 or 2 is weird. The new max power level is 144.22, I believe Archer said, and that's lower than 145.27 or whatever it was. I don't get that. I don't know why we couldn't just go right up to 145. I don't know why they had to make the math work out unfavorably to the player, because a lot of our core audience here is very confused and unsure what to think. A lot of people saw their power level go down, and that's all they know. They don't even know that their stats on the background, in the background, actually went up. Like I showed earlier, those stats. You have 4-player squad stats, even if your power level went down a little bit. And some people are seeing certain squads, like hero loadouts, lowering their power level, just because some of the heroes aren't maxed out. And it's going to incentivize putting 144 heroes in your support, which is not something I would typically suggest. But overall, I think this will be good long term. I think right now, the community is a little confused. A lot of people are very upset. Some people have said they're quitting the game, which I think is so dramatic. I mean, this has been a minor change to your power level at best, and some people are gonna have to grind a little bit more to hit key points like MSK and 160s. That's not ideal. I'm sad you lost your progress. It kind of sucks, but level up your heroes, level up the weapons in your backpack, and you might be okay. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say about that. I hope you guys find this video well. I hope I explained my points clearly. A live comm in the middle of Plankerton pausing between defenses. I did not edit this video, by the way. I hit pause and held my breath, so I hope that came out well. I think I'm going to be enjoying the Noob account a lot more. The session I've had today, it's been like 4 hours on the Noob account, has honestly been wonderful. I mean, Plankerton watching Teddies do their thing has been kind of putting me to sleep, but that's just sort of catching up. Between ventures and leveling up my stuff, I'm still way over leveled for Plankerton. I think power level wise, I'm ready for Canny, but that's just my own story. So yeah, maybe expect some more Noob account videos. On a random note that I wanted to mention earlier at some point, I did voucher Madcap because, okay, he's bald right now, but I vouchered him. I spent one of my 3 vouchers on Madcap just because Teddy's really solid. It's a really good ability to have for all throughout the game. And okay, maybe it doesn't scale well to the end game, but this is my Noob account. I'm not trying to grind 160s here. I'm just trying to get through ventures and beyond. So this is a good build for that. So yeah, subscribe, like the video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Hopefully this warms some hearts and gives you guys a nicer perspective on why these changes have been happening. They're confusing and strange, but ultimately I think they're positive. So that's it. I'm out of here. Goodbye.